Hello and welcome to episode 11 of the Crafty Princess Diaries podcast. My name is Tammy Powley. You will find show notes over on my weblog at www.tammypowley.com. Today is December 31st, 2014. Yep, that's right, the last day of the year. Tomorrow's 2015, and I hope all of you have a wonderful holiday as you celebrate it wherever you live. Whatever time of day it is there. Right now it's kind of late in the afternoon here in Florida, and it is actually kind of dark outside. Hopefully my lighting's not too bad, but we've had a rainy, drizzly day. But it's been nice because it's kind of helped cool things off a little bit. So the title of today's podcast is giveaway info and also crafting success, I guess you could say. I have a little bit of both, but first let's go into the giveaway. And this actually is part of my tip. I usually have a tip at the beginning of each episode for any of you who may be watching me for the first time. For those who are returning, welcome. So today's tip is to join in the giveaway, okay? Make sure you join so you can possibly win something. I'm going to be running this in two places. And again, if you go to tammypowley.com and look for episode 11, I'll have show notes there, and I also have a separate entry with all the details that I'll be linking over in the show notes. I posted that a couple days ago. Can't remember exactly, but I posted it a few days ago. So really it's for January, but technically it's already started. And it's very, very easy to win, or enter at least, let's put it that way. And it might be easy to win. It kind of depends. The more people who enter, the more prizes I'll be giving out. And the way you enter is you can do two things. You can, and they're either or and. Okay, so you can first go over to the Crafty Princess Diaries Ravelry group. Again, I have it linked in show notes. Or you can just look up Crafty Princess Diaries, go to the group section and look up Crafty Princess Diaries and you'll find me there. And join and become a member. Another way you can join is to go over to youtube.com. Either look up Crafty Princess, or more than likely you'll find Tammy Powley will be easier to find because there's fewer Tammy Powleys than Crafty Princesses over there. And subscribe to my channel over there. You can do both, so you can enter both places. Whenever I get at least 50 people in each group, I will add another prize. So right now, let me see my notes here. My Ravelry group's up to 51 as of today, and my YouTube channel's up to 89. So that means right now, the Ravelry group, I will poll at least one person's name for a prize. And the same thing for YouTube, but hey, 89, we're pretty close to 100. And I'm gonna wait till the end of the month. So it's all the month of January you have time to enter. Simply join and become a member of my Ravelry group and or subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's it. All the prizes right now are going to be coming from my personal stash or things I purchased specifically for the giveaway. And they're not going to be, I'm not going to give away like a sweater's worth of yarn or something crazy like that, folks. But I do have some good stuff. And I'm also going to try to match people up with a particular prize. So that's one reason I'm not really showing what all the prizes are. Because Ravelry, yes, most people there are going to be knitters and crocheters, but my group is really not just for knitters and crocheters over there. That was kind of the point of creating it. I actually started the group soon after I left working for the jewelry making site at about.com. I no longer write for them. I stopped doing that last December was the last time I worked for them. So anyway, that group I created right after that with the idea that it would be a way for me to kind of, I won't say rebrand myself, but kind of expand into other areas of crafting, not just jewelry making. And I kind of let it linger. So, oh, by the way, this is Lola. excuse the tale. But I let that group linger, and I, decided, I guess last episode when I posted that, hey, I need to start getting on it and promoting, the blog and promoting my podcast a little bit more than just kind of, word of mouth practically. And so that's what the giveaway is about, promoting Crafty Princess and also creating more of a community over at Ravelry and also on YouTube. Now, with that said, like I said, I'm going to dig into my stash, and if somebody who wins tells me that they really like to do jewelry making or beading or something like that, then they'll have a prize that's related to that type of craft. If somebody tells me, they really like sewing, they'll get a prize related to that type of craft. Anything I can, as close as I can get. Obviously, if you're doing something like glass blowing, that might be a problem. Okay, but generally speaking, I will be able to have gifts for, little giveaway items for probably just about everybody without too much of a problem. Now, that being said, if anybody out there wants to volunteer, like if you're a vendor and you want to, offer a skein of yarn, or if you're a designer and you would like to donate a pattern or something of yours, I will promote it during the month of January. And I will be promoting this giveaway through Ravelry, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And I've already started doing that, and I've already started getting people to join. So, so far it's looking pretty good. We have the whole month of January. So again, make sure that you go over there and enter. Again, it's the Ravelry group, or you can do, or YouTube channel subscriptions. All right, so I won't talk any more about that because all the details are really going to be linked on my show notes. So make sure you read those, please. And if you have questions, just message me and I will do my best to explain if anything is unclear. Okay, so that's the tip. All right, finished objects. I really only have one, and some of you may laugh at me, but I am so proud of this one project, okay? Here it is. This is the first knitted hat I have ever made, my first time knitting in the round. I am taking the Craftsy.com class called, Crafts Circular Knitting Hats 4 Ways, okay? And it's not four different hats necessarily, but it's 4 different ways to knit circularly, and then you're going to create a hat. This particular hat is called the Sweet Pea hat, and there's a lot wrong in this hat, a lot going on here. I don't know if you can see, but like right here at one point, I got inside out somehow, and I did not, I tried and tried, but you can see this is all purl, that's supposed to be knit. But finally I just said screw it, and I just flipped it around and went backwards for a while and got caught back up. So yeah, there's a stitch around here somewhere that does not look right. But I learned a lot with this hat. It's wearable. It actually does fit me. The last episode I talked about this class, and her second lesson has you do a lot of math. And I kind of flipped out because I'm not a math person. But you know what? I just followed her instructions on her pattern, and it was fine. So there you go. I used, let's see, the yarn I used is called a marble yarn, and I showed that also on a previous episode. It's a big hunkin' ball of acrylic yarn that I got at a yarn shop in Cocoa Village, Florida. And I used Chiago bamboo needles, size 10, 16-inch circular, and also double-pointed Chiago size 10 bamboo needles as well. So basically she has you use 2 ways to create the hat. Part of it is, one circular needle, and then you switch over to double pointed needles. So I learned, this is like massive learning here. And that's really the only finished object I have. I came this close to finishing another hat, but I kind of probably screwed it up. So that brings me into my whips. Let me find that guy. Okay, so the next hat she was going to have us make, or she does have you make, is called the Wheeler hat, and it's fairly similar to the other hat, to the Sweet Pea hat. But with this one, you knit using 2 circular needles at the same time, and it doesn't. You probably can't really see too much on here, but I was working on it a little bit this morning, and I realized, okay, like here I goofed big time here. You see that? I got a big honking hole there. Okay. And I decided on this one to do the smallest size because, of course, I'm trying to finish this class up. School starts for me next week, so, that's going to cut into my knitting class time. I will be the teacher now. So anyway, I'm seriously thinking about frogging this because it really, it took me a while to kind of get a feel for using the 2 needles. And another problem, and this is kind of a beef I have with this class, it was not very clear until I was practically all the way through this project what exactly was going on with it. Because the class is set up, it's designed that you're going to learn different ways to do the same thing, okay, which is wonderful. But she doesn't really tell you at the beginning, you know what I mean? So, and in fact, the instructions, like when you start and they tell you the materials, they don't tell you really. They say something like the instructions say, have a 16-inch circular size 10 needle and a longer circular needle. Longer. That's it, longer. Should it be 24, 30, 40? I don't know. I'm a beginner, you know. I don't know. This is the first time. I mean, I have a lot of needles, but I inherited them from my mother. You know, she gave them to me. She's still alive, so I shouldn't say it like that. But she gave me all these old metal needles of hers, but they're all straight. I've never done anything with circular needles before, so to me, I don't know what longer means. I mean, I knew there were longer ones, but how long? Then you get into the lesson, and she's having you use two 16-inch ones, and she doesn't even hardly, she kind of finally says that, oh, these are two 16-inch ones, and she has a really good tip. She suggests that you use, like I use the bamboo and a metal, she uses a metal and a plastic, and that way you don't get them mixed up. Okay, so that was really helpful. But then partway through the class, she says something like, okay, now you can either put them on double-pointed needles, or you can use your, I think she's using a 40-inch circular needle. Okay, so it's 40 inches, but it took me all that time to figure that out. And, you know, I live in Florida. We don't have yarn shops everywhere. The closest thing I have to kind of a yarn shop is Michael's, and they just don't have a huge selection. At least my Michael's does not. So, and they have zero expertise. So, luckily last weekend I did go to a yarn shop in Cocoa Village, and the lady there, one of the women there, was able to suggest, she said, if she's probably doing magic loop, and if that's the case, then you want a 40-inch. And yes, that's exactly what she's doing. However, then when you look at the pattern instructions, and I won't show these specifically, you know, I'll just do a quickie here. She breaks it up, so you can either do it with two 16-inch and double pointed, and then switch to double pointed, or you can do two 16-inch and switch to magic loop, or you can just stick with two 16-inch needles. But the way it's done in the pattern, it's not grouped like that. It's chopped up. So she'll say, start here. Okay, if you're doing double pointed, then do here. If you're doing magic loop, then go here. If you're doing sticking with your doubles, then go here. I'm like, all right, so I'm considering frogging this and starting again. And actually, I went back and I marked, like I took a highlighter so that, because I was getting lost, and I think that's one reason I started having problems here, because I was losing where I was at trying to follow this. Because then I decided at one point, well, I'm going to stick with the double point, the two circulars, because I was actually kind of getting the hang of it after a while. It wasn't as confusing at first. At first it was mind-blowing, and I did have to go over to YouTube and watch a few additional videos from other people to understand what she was trying to explain. But then once I did that and I watched what she was doing, then I was okay. So I didn't really want to switch over. I figured, well, if you can do the whole thing on these, why not just keep going? But then when I tried to follow the pattern, because she's using magic loop, and the third hat you make uses magic loops anyway, so I thought, well, let me finish with these two, then I'll make the next hat and use magic loop, and I'll have done all of the techniques she's talking about. So anyway, this is a wah-wah-wah. Probably gonna frog it. It's just, you know, it's just a little hat. It's not like a big deal. I know some people would be like freaking out, but I'm used to frogging things. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, I'm trying to learn, so no big deal. All right, so the other thing, oh, by the way, and that yarn that I'm using is Knit Picks Brava and the Marina colorway, because it is a baby hat. It's probably, I was going to put it in my donation box. And the needles I'm using, they're both size 10, 16-inch cord here. These are Chiago bamboo, and these are Addies. When I went to the yarn shop, I had finally figured out that I needed an additional size 10, 16-inch by that time. Luckily, I had to fast forward through the class to find this information, though. And the woman there suggested the Addies, and I like them. I do like them better than bamboo. I will say I've also been using Knit Picks, which I'll show you in a minute, and I don't know, it's nice. It's been interesting using the different needles, trying to figure out, you know, do I like, you know, Addie, Chiago, Knit Picks, you know, metal, bamboo, whatever. And of course, some of it for me depends on the yarn I'm using. So I find that bamboo for me works better if I'm working with alpaca yarn or something slippery like that, whereas acrylic, acrylic or wool, I prefer using metal, you know, needles. But anywho, that's just me. So there's that. The other work in progress I have is once I started getting a hang of the knitting in the round, I realized that, hey, I can make a cowl. That would be pretty easy, and it would be a kind of a mindless, once I got going, it would be fairly mindless. So I did some research on, patterns through Ravelry and that kind of thing. And even though I'm not following this pattern specifically, this one and a few other patterns that I looked at gave me inspiration to kind of go off on my own. And I had this skein of Noro. See if the lighting's there. That's a little bit better. Okay, that's not too bad. So I had this skein of Noro I bought again at the fancy yarn store, the Knit and Stitch in Cocoa Village. I bought it, I don't know, a long time ago because it was just purty. I was like, ooh, I like that, it's purty. And of course it has silk, and now I know I have this, problem with silk. I really like the silk. But of course I get home, and I do this constantly. I will buy a skein just to think, well, I'm going to experiment with this skein of yarn. And then I get home and realize I can't make anything, especially crochet. You're not going to crochet something with a tiny little 100-gram thing like this. I mean, maybe a baby hat, I don't know, but this is Noro. I'm not making a baby hat out of Noro. So, anyway, I looked at, let's see, I wrote down, let me find this. It's called the Simply Twisted Cowl. And she uses this exact yarn, the Noro, the same color, which by the way is 60% wool and 40% silk. And so she was able to make a cowl using that, and the yarn suggests the size. I'm using size 7, 24-inch circular needles. I actually got these out of a kit that you can get through Knit Picks. And what I've done, I think she's, and this is a free pattern, again, I'll link it in my show notes, and I believe she started, I want to say with 100 stitches or 100 cast-ons, and I did 105 because I just wanted it a little extra room, especially when you start linking, closing the loop together. And I also, she just knits and purls various things. But what I did is I did 5 rows of knit, and then I did 2 rows of purl to kind of help. I don't want it to be too rolly, okay? And now I'm doing all knit, and then I'm going to finish with 2 rows when I get near the end. I'll do 2 rows of purl and 5 knit, hopefully, or something in that general range. But yeah, ooh, so pretty. And let's see, what else I want to say about this. I guess that's it. Love it though. I definitely want some more Noro. It is a little weird. It's very it almost feels like hand spun because it's quite not perfectly twisted, but I like that. If you're the person that doesn't like kind of rustic yarn, you would not like this yarn. It also pulls like, oh, I almost totally goofed here. Look at that tiny little tail because it's actually pulled out, so you have to be kind of careful. But I'm really enjoying working on this, and I could actually see this, me making a few of these for gifts for people, even in Florida, because, we don't get cold a lot, but what happens is when we do get cold, say it's 32 or something, nobody's prepared for it. We don't have anything. Most people don't even have a coat hardly. So, my husband owns like 1 long sleeve shirt, I think. Just 1. Yeah. And a denim jacket. So, when it gets really cold, we just don't have stuff. So, anywho, I'm probably going to make some more. Love this. And this is simple. And that's right. And the other difference with her cowl is the twisted cowl is twisted, and I'm not going to twist this. I'm just going to make it, straight. So we'll see how that looks when I'm done. And then what's the other thing? Of course, the other thing I'm just going to show you super fast because I have been working on it though, but I don't know if you can really tell. This is my crochet shawl. It's a fan shawl, and I'm going to make it super big. Okay. So this again, this is, I'm calling it the fan shawl. The pattern is out of the Totally Simply Crochet book. And I am using a size I hook Cascade Heritage Paints in the Island of Skye. And it's 75% merino, 25% nylon in a fingering weight. This is a really good, like, mindless project kind of thing. And so far it's not gotten too big that I can't, bring it around to places. So, yes, let me Excuse me getting out of shot here. Got all my stuff in my bag. And that brings me then to, so those are the finished objects, the whips. Surprisingly, I don't have an amigurumi going on, which is very, very unusual for me. And I kind of miss it. I'm actually thinking of maybe starting one, but a very simple one, not the flower one I talked about a couple of episodes ago. I might do something just like, you know, like a fish or a chicken, something super easy that I know I can finish quickly, so I can just get a little bit of amigurumi feel good. And also, I guess as we're talking about future projects, the only other thing is, and this is kind of a 2015 looking into the future, I've been telling myself, and I think I've mentioned it on the podcast and in various places, that I'm going to make crochet jewelry. I'm going to do that, and maybe even this weekend. I thought of an interesting idea of maybe making like taking some silver wire and making, you know, like a circle with a bail on the top, and then using some really thin yarn, really thread, and crocheting around it, maybe throwing on some beads, I don't know. So something where like that's kind of the frame of the earring. So we'll see. You know, it sounds like it would be really simple to whip up, but you know, sometimes that's part of the thing when you're designing stuff. It sounds great in your mind, and sometimes you're lucky and, you know, it'll just work out fine. But for something like this, I don't know how easy that's going to be once I really start doing it. All right, so the only other thing I was going to talk about briefly really is the trip to the yarn shop, which was really, really nice. As usual, the place was pretty packed full of people. You know, it's a popular yarn shop, so, and everybody there is very helpful. I didn't get a ton of stuff. I really had this big long list. I thought I was going to get all this stuff, you know, and because for me to go there is a huge treat because it's over an hour drive from my house. So I had this list, but some of the things I'm going to be making in the future, like some baby items for my niece, who, by the way, had a little girl, and her girl's name is Crystal Jewel. Is that wonderful or what? Crystal Jewel, that's so sweet. And she's a big chunky girl, over 9 pounds. So, no, was she almost 9 pounds? She was like 8 pounds something. So yeah, big cheeks. She looked adorable. So that means, you know, Auntie Tammy has to make some clothes for her. But I looked around in the yarn shop, and they have acrylic there. But, you know, I just can't see spending $6 for a little acrylic skein when I need like at least 2 or 3 of those, you know, to make a little sweater or something. When I know I can get it at Knit Picks pretty inexpensively, or even just, again, run up to Michael's and get some, you know, Red Heart Softy yarn, or even the Bernat baby yarn's not too bad. So for about half the price, if not less, on a sale. So so I didn't get anything for that. And then, because I will say I rarely am the type of person that will buy, especially yarn. I don't tend to buy it without some sort of idea of what I'm going to make with it. Sometimes I will see stuff, and I mean, I did do this. I did buy 2 skeins with a vague idea of what I want to make with it. But, you know, usually going in, I have this like list of projects, and I want yarn for those projects. And then sometimes it works out, and sometimes it does not. For this trip, of course, I had to get some needles. So, like I said, I got the Addies, which I like. I've heard a ton about them, so they're not, I won't say they're like, I'm not amazed at the Addies, but I like them. Definitely like them. Surprisingly enough, I'm liking the Knit Picks. I got another thing of Knit Picks to attach to the cords that I have. The kit that I originally got has one set of the metal, and then one set of wood, and then you have a 40-inch cord and a 24-inch cord, and then the little locking thing. And it was on sale one time. They had it like 40% off or something, and I knew I was going to start knitting in the round soon, so I just purchased it. And I'm glad I got that little kit because it's been handy, and I'm not ready to, I know I can see it in my future. Okay, it's there, right? It is in my future. But I'm not ready to buy a whole set of, you know, circs, and I'm just not ready to go there yet till I know. But I will say I'm kind of liking the Knit Picks right now. And I know they're not, you know, super fancy high-end Addies like, woo, wah, you know, but what do I know? I'm just a noob, right? So One of the things I was looking for there was yarn that had some sort of silk in it. And to show you, here's something I made a while back, and I've worn it on the podcast before. It's a big old scarf, or a shawl actually, but it's got this great drape. It feels wonderful. It's silky, like silk. Okay, I think this has got like 25% silk. So I wanted some more of this, and here's the, as you can see the color there. So this is from Heritage, the Heritage, Cascade Heritage hand paints. All right. So I wanted more of this. Last time I was there, I goofed up and I bought a skein. In fact, it's that blue skein that I'm making the crocheted shawl out of. I thought that had silk in it. It did not. So this time I was like, all right, I'm going to be really careful. I'm going to tell that lady, just show me where the silk blends are. That's it, right? The silk blends. She brought me all around the store, looked at this, looked at that, looked at that. Could not find any of the Cascade hand-painted silk blends, except for this skein. You can't really, it's not coming, the colors are not working. It's much darker. It's like a reddish, okay. It doesn't look anything like this, okay, but it's a dark red with blacks, like black, brownish, reddish. Oh, there, that's really more kind of what it's like, almost. You can almost see the red there. Totally out of my color range, but I was like, okay, you know what? This is the only silk hand painted here. This is it. She has more, she said, but it wasn't in the store because they had recently gotten back from a knitting cruise, and so most of it was still packed away. So I was like, okay, well, I can't just bebop here, tomorrow, because this is, a big trip for me. So I'll just take this. So I get home and I'm looking at it. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, nylon and superwash. It doesn't have silk in it. I'm so bummed about this. Now, the good thing is, luckily, they were so busy that I did not have her, wind it up for me. Because usually I have them do that. I know you're not supposed to do that. Everybody's going to say, oh, you're stretching your yarn. Oh, my God, don't do that. But I don't have a ball winder, and to do this by hand, I don't want to do it. And I really did think I was going to, get cranking on this pretty soon. But they were really busy. My mom and my sister by this time were kind of sitting at the table, waiting for Tammy, waiting for Tammy. Oh, don't worry, we're okay. Waiting. So I just said I'm going to take it. But because I did not skein it up, they will let me return it if I want to. I'm not totally sure. I'm starting to really like the colors, and I have a friend that might like something made out of this. So I'm kind of check with her. I've actually asked her, like, I just remember my IOU gift. I kind of did the same thing, only verbally. I said, what, if anything, do you want me to make you? And I made a list of things, shawlette, blah, blah, blah. She said she would be interested in doilies. Well, that's probably not going to happen. She's getting ready to open an antique shop, so she's all like, oh, I could put doilies on the furniture that I'm going to be selling. Yeah, well, I'm not a doily kind of girl. I'm not ready to do doilies. I love her, but I don't think I love her enough for doilies, Go down to the Goodwill, see if you can find some doilies. Because she's not even interested in necessarily selling the doilies. She's just talking about, she's going to create sort of vignettes, she's going to stage everything in the shop. So I get that, but I don't know, get on eBay and buy some or something. But so we'll see what happens. She said she'd think about it. So the other thing I got does have silk in it as far as yarn goes. And now I'm kind of kicking myself. I should have gotten more of this, but this is the Noro all over again. One skein, what am I going to do? But I think I'm going to make a hat. I think I'm going to knit a hat with this. Okay. This is again Cascade. This yarn shop, she's a Cascade person. Okay, lots of her, almost all her yarn. I'm gonna say all of it. A lot of her yarn, and she's got a ton, comes from Cascade. So it's Tangier. It's 50% silk, 16% cotton, 17% acrylic, 17% viscose, and it's, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, that's a good. Hey, you can actually see it. That's a good color there. That's about what it looks like, and it's very textury, which appeals to me. I like this kind of rustic looking type yarn. And yeah, so, and I love the rainbow effect. This has 220 yards, right? So yeah, I could definitely make an adult size hat with this. and maybe even the next hat in the class that I'm taking it has cables on it. So I'm not sure if this would look right for that or not. Okay, not sure about that for a cable hat. I don't know if the cables would show up well enough or not. We'll see. And I'm even thinking I might make a small version, like a child's version of that hat in acrylic, see what it looks like, and if I like it, make the adult size in this, for me, of course. So we'll see what happens. And I actually, surprisingly, I know people may not believe this, but I do wear quite a bit of hats because I have really long hair, okay? And I cannot, like, if when I wash my hair, I can't just comb it out. It's a mess. It's like a, in fact, I actually broke a comb the other day because I thought, well, let me just comb it out a little bit to help it start drying because I had to go someplace. And I don't use a blow dryer because it would take forever, and I'm just too lazy to do that. And so what I often do is if I'm home, and a lot of times, you know, I wash my hair at night anyway, I will just kind of roll it up in like a little knot thing, and then I put a hat on in the house because it's cold, you know, with the air conditioning going, and I have this head of cold, wet hair, you know, on me, and I'll even sometimes go to sleep with the hat on because, and then what's nice in the morning, it's dry and I can just brush it right out. So if it dries by itself, it's really, really easy for me to brush it out because my hair is very fine, but it's kind of thick. So I can't just, you know, I need to have like a monster-sized brush and everything. I'm thinking about maybe cutting it. We'll see. But even then, it would still, like I said, if you have a wet head and it's, you know, the air conditioning is on, you know, 67 or something like that, where my husband likes to have it, then put a hat on. Okay. So yeah, I think that's everything. Those are all it. Yeah. The yarn shop, I want to say again, wonderful people, even though she steered me in the wrong direction about this. She did think it had silk in it. I'm not saying she was trying to rip me off or anything. And because I did not have it skeined up, their policy is that they would let me return it, so that's nice to know. But they were super helpful with, you know, helping me pick out my needles. And, you know, it's always, that place is just, there's so many people there that it tends to be kind of chaotic. And so it's hard for me to concentrate on what I need. And it's, you know, I'm usually have like my sisters with me or my mom. And so it's like there's a lot of distractions and stuff. But yeah, so I thought I was going to come back with a lot more yarn than I did. So, and now I have to go back. I really think I am going to return this because, unless, like I said, if my friend says something like, "Oh, I would love a really nice shawl," that would be perfect to make her a big shawl or something. But other than that happening, I want the silk. If I'm spending the money, I like the silk. Cashmere is not too bad, and she did have some cashmere blends. But like I said, this I've been noticing when it really gets cold here. We have 40 degrees out or whatever. I wrap this around my neck, and it feels great. And it just, the drape is completely different than something that's nylon and wool. Okay, just not the same. Well, I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. And just to plug that again, don't forget, either you can go over to tammypowley.com, check out my show notes, and through there you can go over to the link through Ravelry and join my group over there. We already have, like I said, 51 people, and I want to chat it up. I want to talk about stuff. What are you working on? What are your whips? What are your plans for 2015 as far as crafting goes, or whatever? Also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. There's a pretty good group over there. I don't get a whole lot of comments, but that's cool. I mean, a lot of people prefer to just lurk, and I tend to be a big-time lurker, so it takes me a while to kind of like get out there and realize, I should say something to these people. Maybe they want to talk a little bit. So, and I'd like to talk, some too on YouTube. Feel free to post stuff, and if you have questions, if there's something I missed that you would like me to talk about or correct or whatever like that, feel free to do so. But I hope you have all a wonderful, safe holiday tonight, or if it's missed already, I hope you had one. If you're watching me on another hemisphere. And I look forward to continuing to podcast and blog in 2015. Bye.